Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending the VTrust webinars again with me as the host. My name is Tatiana Trukina. I'm an account manager of VTrust Inspection Service, and today I'm going to present the second part of the webinars on the topic on how to ensure trust and guarantee while dealing with your supplier by every step from the beginning to the end. And let me tell several words about our company. VTrust Inspection Company is a third-party inspection company, and we already have 15 years of experience in product quality, supplier assessment, testing and certifications in the Asian countries. So today we're going to make a presentation just to answer your key questions about how to make sure that you will get the good quality products and how to make sure that your supplier is not the fraud one. So let me share the presentation with you. So today we are covering the second part of the presentation of our webinar, which is called Supervising Your Product During and After Production. Well, at the first part of our webinar, we were covering the essential steps of your sourcing process. So we were covering the sourcing step and telling you how to make sure that the supplier, your future supplier, is not a fraud one, and how to check your future supplier. Then we were also covering the placing order step, how to make sure that your sample is a good one and how to confirm the good sample with your supplier. And also we're saying some words about the when the order is already completed. Today we will be mainly focused on the production, and we'll be mainly focused on how to guarantee your product's quality at every step of your production. So we'll be talking mostly about the production when your order will be completed and on the delivery stage. So shall we begin? Let me start by sharing with you a simple case study, which I think almost every buyer heard of or faced. For example, I'm a textile buyer, and I just sourced around 200 of t-shirts from some of the factory of South China. I've paid full amount of money and my products were already manufactured, they were already shipped to my country, and I received these products in my country, and I understand that the products that I received are not the one that I paid for. These products, they do not meet my requirements, and for example, there is a different material of the product, of my t-shirts. It's not 100% cotton as I required. There is some color shade between the products from product to product, which is, of course, is not acceptable for you. And there is also some problem with the accessory symmetry. So of course, as a buyer, I would like to get my money back and get the new goods, the one that I paid for. And on this stage, I will be contacting my supplier and I will be dealing with this. But as you understand, it will be a very undesirable situation for both you and your supplier, because you will be meeting these problems of large losses of time and money, of penalties, shipment delays, and so on. So here's my advice. In order to keep away this undesired issue for both you and your supplier, you better to keep an eye on your production from the very early stage to the very last ones. So you better to start controlling your product's quality already from the earliest stages. So you would have time to find and correct the defective issues that could be possibly found in your product. Also, another thing that I would like to highlight is that it is better to control your product from the beginning of production, like at the 5% of your production when it's already manufactured, or maybe 10%, because you should understand many suppliers or many buyers, they do these quality checks, but they are doing this for final products. And of course, it will be already late to rework the goods or to change anything if there will be some big defects found in your final product. Of course, it will be also loss of time for you and your supplier. It will be pushing your supplier to reach the shipment day, or to reach your desired product's quality level. It will be also pushing them, and it will be not so pleasant for you and them to work in such a schedule. So here's my advice: to be yourself a policeman of your order, or if it is not convenient for you to come and supervise all of your orders at the factory, you could send your colleagues from the offices in these countries, or you could hire the professional inspection inspection company, which will help you to supervise your production from the very early stages till the final stages. So there is another thing. In order to make your product supervision more clear and more organized, I would recommend you to have a confirmed sample or confirmed product specification, a specification sheet, which will have all of your requirements and which will provide a full understanding to your supplier what you are waiting from them and what are your expectations on the product. Already in the first part of the webinar, I was showing you how to confirm the sample before starting the mass production. And I was telling you that this kind of sheets of product specification exist. For example, for the textiles and apparels, it's called a tech pack. And for electronic products, it's called a CDF. It is component data form. It is basically the map of your product. It shows how your product should be made, what is the appearance, what are the materials or components to be used in this product. And such kind of a sheet, such kind of a sample confirmation would help you to avoid misunderstanding and misinterpreting with your supplier. Like this, you can clearly show them what is your expectations of the product and how it should be made, what the raw materials should be used, and so on. And of course, this kind of sheets, this kind of sample confirmation would help you to supervise your order later during the production and after your product will be already produced. For example, here, me as a buyer who is sourcing the t-shirts from some factory in China, I would have a tag pack with the map of my product, and I as a buyer will be checking the product during production, for example, at the 10% when the product is already manufacturing. So I would make sure that my product's raw material is the one that I required. For example, I would make sure that my supplier bought the raw material from another supplier, and this raw material will be 100% cotton. For me, as a buyer, it's not acceptable that it will be 60% cotton, 40% polyester. So I would make sure that this product's raw material is the same as I required. So also I would make sure that the accessories that I want my product to have are sourced accordingly, that they are the same size, they are the same color, that they are working normally. For example, if it is zippers, of course, I would need to make sure that the product, the raw material, it is working itself before it will be put into my product. So also I would make sure that the color is the same of the raw material, or the printing during production is also the same. There is no color shades, there is no any other mistakes with the printing. Also I would make sure that the dimensions of this product are same as I required. So I would come to the production line, and I would check what kind of sizes they are producing, and I would take some samples from the production line, for example, the semi-produced samples, and I would make the dimension check, and I would make sure that this is the same size as I ordered, and this product is as per my requirement, and there is no any changes to it, and there is no any mistakes. So me as a buyer would also check the stitching. I would also check the production line, as I already said. We'll be checking some raw materials, then inline production, and then already finished product. And also we'll be checking the packing line to make sure that my product will be clean and will be not dusty. It will be not no dirt on this product when it will be already packed and delivered to me. Of course, I, as a buyer, if I have an ability to be on the supplier side, it is better to be on the supplier side. But if you do not have an opportunity to be on supplier side, you could hire the inspection company, which will provide you with the during production inspection. For example, in VTrust, we also make during production inspections, and I have one of the story about this kind of inspection to share with you. I had a client who was sourcing the furniture products somewhere in Vietnam, and he required the during production inspection. So when our inspector arrived, we were checking the raw material, so the whiteboards. We were checking how the product is cut, how is it polished, how is it painted, how is it polished again. And actually, when our inspector made an assembly check of a full product, he understood that there is a slight color shade between the parts of the table, between one parts of one pieces. And when he started to investigate this issue and to investigate on what step of the production the mistake was made, he understood that during the painting step, the workers of this factory, they were painting the parts manually, and they were mixing the colors, the paints manually as well. So today, for example, they were mixing colors and painting one kinds of boards. Tomorrow it's another kinds of boards. Day after tomorrow is the third kinds of boards. And as you can understand that if they're mixing colors manually, it means that every time they will have a different color. So when the one piece was assembled, our inspector understood that there is a color deviation. There is a kind of color shade between different parts of the product. And luckily, this type of inspection was made only when 10% of the whole production was manufactured. So when we told the client about this mistake, about this defect, about this problem, the client was, of course, upset, and he demanded this supplier to stop the production and to start everything from the beginning. So he asked for this product to be painted again, they be colored again and polished again. So all of the product and all of the product parts, they will be the same color. So when the PSI was made already, the pre-shipment inspection, we checked that all of the parts, they were in the same color, and we reminded the supplier that it's not good to check, to mix the colors manually, because of course it can lead to these big problems, and they would face this problem together with the buyer. So here are some advantages of checking your product during production from the very early stage. First, you could ensure that your production is taking in the right place, because sometimes the buyers, they are contacting the trading companies, and the trading companies, they sometimes, they usually do not have the factories. They are not the real manufacturer, so they are outsourcing the production to one factory, to another, and so on. So first, by conducting this kind of inspection, by checking your product, how is it manufactured, first you can understand that the production is made at the right place, and also you can understand that your production is not outsourced, because it's also a common thing that some parts of your production could be possibly outsourced to a different factory. So by conducting the during production inspection, you can understand that your production is not outsourced, it is conducted at that factory that you are in contact with, and it is made in the right place. And also, it's a good point that you can check that your production follows the schedule, because sometimes, yes, your production is going out of the schedule, and you have to postpone the shipment dates all the time, and you will have the penalties, of course, and you would not like it as a buyer. So checking your product during production would help you to follow the production schedule as well. Now we are moving to the next step, is when your product is already completed, and except the checking your product during production, when you're checking just the first part. Of course, it is better to verify your product's conformity to all of your requirements when the whole production is already manufactured for 100%. So you could check your product when it's already fully manufactured, or you could ask your inspection company to conduct the pre-shipment inspection. It is the very popular kind of inspection, which is made randomly on a certain sample size to the all details of your product. So unlike the during production inspection, when you're mostly checking the product and the product's quality, here during pre-shipment inspection, you can check the product's quality, product's quantity, you can conduct some function check, you can check the workmanship, the accessories, the material, marking, labeling, carton status, the packaging, and so on. And here, let me share with you one of the main things for the pre-shipment inspection to be conducted according to is a checklist. Already in the first part of our webinar, I was mentioning that a checklist is one of the main things that you have to clarify with your supplier before the mass production. So you need this checklist to actually check your whole production with the supplier. And better first to share with your supplier what expectations you have to this product. So you better make a checklist and make a list of the tests that you want your product to pass. And you could write the sample size for this testing. You can write the testing criteria, firstly for your supplier, so he would understand what kind of the quality level you are expecting from this product. So better to confirm this kind of checklist before the bulk production, so the supplier could test it by himself, and he could understand what kinds of defects are acceptable for you or what kinds of defects are not acceptable by you. For example, this kind of checklist that you can see, it's a checklist for a t-shirt, because I'm a buyer and I'm so selling t-shirts. This is a checklist which is designed by a technical manager of VTrust. And this kind of checklist that we are using for checking textiles and t-shirt. So as you can see here, the checklist is very detailed. It's only some parts that are visible for you, but actually it could be many different on-site tests. For different products, there will be different on-site testing, because the testing is made, is designed specially according to the product specifications, according to those data sheets or CDFs or tag packs that you provide to your supplier or to your inspection company. And also here you could see the defect classification. It's another part of the checklist. Here you could see any possible defects that could be found within this product. And you can see a breakdown here as a critical defects, major defects, and minor defects. Critical defects are the ones that could possibly affect your health and your safety. Like here, there will be some sharp points or some loop stitches for children, for example, for the babies, or some foreign insects, blood marks. This is a critical defect. For major defects are the one which are focused on your product's workmanship. So if something is not according to your product's functionality, so it will be a major defect. For example, serious color shade, or some missed stitches, holes, torn designs, and so on. The minor defects will be some minor defects which could possibly affect your product's appearance. So when you make this checklist, it is easier for you to check the product when it's already ready and when it's already manufactured. And you can decide whether this order is passed or whether it is failed, and you can decide whether you want this product to be shipped to your country, or maybe it should be reworked and yes, and it should be inspected again. So we as an inspection company, we will be checking such steps of pre-shipment inspection. So we'll be checking quantity, workmanship, product conformity, product dimensions, if it is garments, textile, and also product specifications, if it is furniture or toys or electronic items, and so on. We'll be doing some on-site tests, which we designed specially in our checklist, especially for this product. Also, we'll be checking packing, marking, labeling, and special requirements from the client. Let me show you one of the sample reports that we have for the pre-shipment inspection. So this is the sample report of a t-shirt, because I'm sourcing a t-shirt. And as you can see here, this production was failed, this order was failed due to the number of major and minor defects. So we found 16 major defects, while it was accepted only 10, and 17 minor defects. You can see here, first, there were some problems in this order. The quantity was not the same as required. So some parts of the production were not finished. They were missed some reflective tape on the product. The actual size of the reflective tape was different, and so on. Here I will show you some pictures of defects. As you can see here, there was supposed to be some reflective tape, and here on the actual product there was no. So the colors was almost the same, but not the same as the client required. And here you can see some of the defects that we found. So it was poor neck shape. As you can see here, there was not evenly cut the neck shape for many of the samples. So I'm, as a buyer, when I would see this kind of defects, of course it will be not acceptable for me, and I would require to check within whole production, within whole order on this defect, and I would ask to rework these goods. Also, there were some broken stitches on the sleeves, on the chest, fabric holes, and so on. So also, as you can see here, we will be checking the product's dimensions, whether it conforms to the sizes of your product. We'll be conducting the on-site test. As you can see here, there's many on-site tests, special for this type of product. Will be metal detection check, which is kind of critical. If we find any needle or any sharp points within this product, it will be, of course, failed, and the whole production will be failed because it's not safe to use this product. And here are some pictures of the shipping marks and the product, how it looks like, how is it packed, what are the marking, how did we do some testing, and so on. Here, as you can see, there is a fitting check of the product. So let me go back to the presentation. So just for your information, the defects can be different. And of course, due to the different product types, there will be different critical, major, and minor defects, which should be first designed by you or your inspection company, because the inspection company has a large experience in the product quality checks. For example, these are the pictures from our reports, from the VTrust reports. And here, as you can see, this is blender, so it's an electrical product, and it failed the high pot test. High pot test is one of the main tests for electronic products. If some pieces fail the high pot test, it means that the production is not safe to use, and it is better not to import such kind of products which fail the high pot testing. Here you can see some examples of the shoes, and we found the glue marks on the inner lining of the shoes. It would be a minor defect because it is inside of the shoe and is not influencing your product's workmanship so much, but of course it influencing your appearance and your customers' comments or feedbacks on your product, and of course it's not it will be not welcomed by you as a buyer. Here are some some examples of the furniture inspection. So here you can see there are actually tables, and we found the color shade from piece to piece. This piece was lighter, and this piece was a little bit darker. And there was also a rough edge on the leg, which could possibly influence the product. Yes, the product accessory checks, and maybe the legs will be not stable enough. And here there are some examples of the toys that we checked. There are some dirty marks and broken stitches, which will be also not so welcomed by you as a buyer. When your product is already manufactured, and even if this product is in a perfect condition, even if it passed very strict quality control and very strict quality check, you shouldn't think that the product will arrive to you in a perfect condition. I better to mention that there can be some situations when your product can be possibly damaged during the shipment process. So I would like to notice that on the shipment stage, there is something that you could do to ensure your product's quality. So your product can be possibly damaged due to the poor packaging of your product. Maybe there was not enough of the cartons or some protective foam or any other parts of the packaging to protect your product. Maybe the loading process was wrong, and maybe there were some gaps between the packaging, between the cartons, or maybe there were some large gaps between the container and the carton boxes. So it would mean that your product actually could be moved during the shipment and could possibly be damaged during the shipment. And also your product can be damaged due to the poor container's condition. Sometimes there are some holes in the container itself. So during the shipment or due to the poor weather conditions, the water could possibly leak into your container, and your products could possibly be wet or damaged or so on. Also, you should check your product, and you should check when your product is already loaded into the container, just to make sure that you will not receive the defective products, and to make sure that you will receive correct products. Because we have heard some of the experience of the buyers who bought one kind of product, and then they were cheated by fraud companies, and they would receive some completely another kind of product in this container, but the information about this container is the same. It's the same weight, it's the same height, and you better know, and you better to understand when the product is already left the factory. There will be almost no way for you to identify whose problem was if your product is defective. So you better to check when your product is already manufactured and when your product is already loaded, before your product is close to the container and shipped to you. You can check this kind of issue by yourself, or you could also ask your inspection company or shipping company to conduct the container loading supervision. For example, in VTrust, we also offer the container loading supervision, which is mainly focused on your product packing, on the loading process, and on your special requirements. For example, we will be checking. Let me show you the example of the sample report. So Here is a container loading supervision report, and first we will be checking the condition of the cartons for your product. Yeah, maybe they will be broken, or maybe they will be in ideal condition. So if they will be broken, we would require to repair them and remake them, or to put the product in the new carton box. We would also check the containers, uh, condition, whether it has any holes inside it, whether it is strong enough, whether is it okay to load the product. And also we would supervise the loading process from the beginning to the end, because our inspectors, they know the technique how to load the container, so the products will be not damaged during the shipment. So there will be no gaps here left for the product, and there will be no gaps, or there will be some gaps for very close to the door of the container. So our inspectors, they know the technique how to load the container properly, and we would supervise and advise your supplier how to load the container properly. So when the container is already loaded, we would close it and put our seal. So like this, you can guarantee that those products that we checked, they are actually those products that you would receive, because there will be our seal on the container. Apart from the container check, we'll be also checking the product packing, the product specification, the product view. But here you should know, and yeah, you should keep in mind that this kind of inspection, this kind of control is mainly focused on the packaging and on keeping your product safe, not keeping your product be manufactured as per your requirements, because more detailed quality checks should be done during pre-shipment inspection. During container loading supervision, it will be just a quick product check, just to make sure that this product is the one that you source, this product is the one that you want to receive. And this is basically all what I wanted to tell you about, that I wanted to share you with, how to check your product from the beginning of your production till the end when your container is already loaded and is already shipped back to you. So if you have any questions, you can write in Q&A, or you can contact me by my email address, tatiana@vtrust.com. Feel free to ask any questions or ask any advice on the product quality, or maybe on supplier assessment. Any questions are welcomed.